The following short stories take place in Lincoln's Inn of London, the same location as our first video, the Ghost Bird. So light a candle, dim the lights. Let's open the case. Robert Percival was a gentleman who studied law at Lincoln's Inn. He was on the path of redemption after a less than savoury life. According to legend, on one dark, rainy night, at the midnight hour, Robert was studying and was struck by an unshakable unease. After the last chime of the clock, a cloaked white entity appeared to glide through his locked door. Noticing this, Robert steadily rose, keeping his eyes fixed on the apparition. The spectre began to slowly glide towards him. It was covered in a shroud and seemed to be hiding its face with its arm. Robert moved towards his sword, which was propped upright against the wall. Grabbing his sword, Robert ran towards the entity and attempted to stab the figure. However, his sword passed straight through it. Shocked at what had just happened, Robert stared in amazement. The spectre slowly lowered the arm, covering its face. The entity had the same face as Robert, but bore terrible wounds to his face. Gripped by fear, Robert was frozen to the spot. As he looked down, he also noted that the figure had wounds on its chest too. The figure then became a mist-like entity and vanished. Robert perceived this encounter to be a warning to him to never revert back to his less than savoury past life, and to focus all his efforts with his law studies. This tale does not end well. Unfortunately for Robert, his past life caught up with him. A short while after his spectral encounter, he was murdered by former friends that he had cheated. Astonishingly, his corpse bore the same scars that Robert had noted the spectre had. Since that time, Robert Percival's room at Lincoln's Inn has been haunted, though whether it is by the ghost of Robert himself or the spectre that tried to warn him, we will never be quite so sure. In 1913, another attack in Lincoln's Inn was also attributed to the Ghost Bird. On the evening of the 25th of February, a group of men walking past the lodge of the legal offices was startled by a panicked scream from up above. When they looked up, they spotted a man through one of the windows who seemed to be flailing about as if struggling with someone. The men rushed to the helpless man's room, only to find him dead. The man had been a barrister named Charles Appleby, and was covered in bloody scratches that looked as if they had been inflicted by either claws or the talons of a very large bird. Reports stated that nobody had been seen leaving the room before the men arrived. Not long after this incident, another barrister named John Radlett was found dead in the very same office, apparently having hanged himself. However, upon further investigation, it was found that there was no rope in the room at the time. Yet, John bore strange marks around his neck. On the inside of the locked door, gashes and gouges were discovered in the wood, as though an animal had been locked in there with him. Again, nobody had been seen leaving the room. Following the events the decade earlier and the more recent happenings, rumours began to circulate that the ghost bird was on the loose, and that there was an evil, possibly demonic presence felt in Lincoln's Inn, to the point that many people at the law offices quit and moved out. So, what kind of entity could have killed the two barristers? It is unlikely we'll ever know, as Lincoln's Inn was unfortunately bombed during World War I on the 18th of December 1917. The Georgian house spoken of in our earlier video was unfortunately destroyed, along with the office detailed in this account. There has been no encounter or sighting of the ghost bird since. Lincoln's Inn Fields, just outside of Lincoln's Inn, is the largest public square in London. In the month of July of 1683, it served a grisly purpose. On the 21st of July 1683, Lord William Russell was convicted of planning the murder of Charles II and was sentenced to death. On his way to the block, Lord Russell allegedly stated that his own decapitation would be less pain than drawing a tooth. However, unfortunately for Russell, his executioner was the notoriously incompetent Jack Ketch. There have been alleged sightings of Lord Russell holding his own head near to the exact location that he lost his life. Also, according to reports, a shadowy figure now haunts Lincoln's Inn Fields in the dead of night at the central shelter, and blood-curdling screams echo through the trees. Some believe these phantom screams to be Russell. We hope you have enjoyed the trio of ghost stories. Tell us your favourite below, and please like and subscribe, as you won't want to miss our next case.